There's no way to achieve peace without the willingness to find the truth and the willingness to change.
Welcome to Platform Z, or Z, whichever you prefer. Join me, Noah Lennon, as I speak with my generation about a range of topics and themes in the present day. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to the 4th episode of Platform Z Season 2. Today I'm joined by a South London-based theatre and film creative who is fascinated by how people navigate challenges, find meaning and tell their stories. She's a 2025 graduate of the Drama Applied Theatre and Education Bachelor of Arts program at the Central School of Speech and Drama. She's also worked in theatre in New York and is currently writing an original short film inspired by the pressures, expectations, and realities of being a creative today. She's a strong-willed, altruistic, and proficient soul. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jada Thomas.
Hi, I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you, Jada, for coming on. As you may have seen from the title, today we'll be discussing finding peace in 2026. Jada, would you like to explain to the listeners why you wanted to speak on this topic?
Yeah, I feel like the world is always changing, and as a human, it's so hard to navigate your way around that. Having peace, for me, that's the most important thing ever, because I feel like without peace, everything else becomes such a struggle. Even just like waking up in the morning, going outside to go to work or to go to school, if you don't have some sort of peace, it's going to be so hard to just do a normal daily basic thing.
Yeah, that's such an important point, that last bit. To establish, Jada, what's your relationship with peace now? Do you feel that you have peace within yourself now?
I have a lot more peace than I did in the past, but I don't ever feel like you're gonna find peace and that's gonna be it, like the end of the journey. Your definition of peace and how you see peace is always gonna change depending on where you're living, who's in your life, the things that you're doing is always gonna change. So right now, if you ask me if I'm at peace, yes, I am. But I do know that something else is going to come in my life that's going to change my definition of peace or change how I view it. And it's going to make me want to strive to achieve that new definition of peace that I've found.
This is a self-promotional break. Hi people, another self-promotional break. I know, I'll keep it as brief as possible, I promise. The first thing is that I'm in a UK touring production of an original new play by Isabel Palmer titled Little Deaths. This is my professional stage debut and I'll be performing in London at the Lion and Unicorn Theatre on July 12th at 7:30pm and then in Liverpool at the Hope Street Theatre on July 25th, also at 7:30pm. This is a female-led story that I'm fiercely passionate about. It tackles themes of emotional abuse and coercive control and is so important not only for young women to watch, but also for young men to avoid certain behaviours that we see in my character, Jack. You can purchase tickets for that via the link in the description. The second thing is that last Friday I released another music video, this time for my song Dance Floor Therapy, which is track 9 on Dance Break Rework Edition, my most recent album from last September. You can check out the video on my YouTube channel linked in the description. There's lots of dancing and different shots, and it's all set in my university theatre space. Big up the Martin Harris Centre, always. Thank you very much. Bye. So it's a journey. It's definitely a journey. That's the key idea that we're talking about here. Delving into your own personal experiences, Jada, and we'll take it as far as you're comfortable with this. You've been diagnosed with a condition called Pulsate Tinnitus. Would you like to explain to the listeners what that is and what your journey with Pulsate Tinnitus has been like so far?
It's been a long journey, if I'm being honest. I've always been quite an anxious person. Like I've always had anxiety and it's always been something that I've been trying to manage. But roughly, I'm going to say 4 years ago, I just started hearing my heartbeat all the time, constantly. And I remember going to the GP. A lot of the times they said that it was just an ear infection. For months, they put me on antibiotics for ear infection and they kept on changing it, but it just wasn't working. And then I finally got transferred to a hospital and they diagnosed me with Meniere's disease. And then after further tests and treatments, we actually found out that it was pulsatile tinnitus paired with chronic migraines. And because the symptoms when you have both of them is very similar to Meniere's disease, they misdiagnosed me. It took me, I think, 2 or 3 years to get officially diagnosed with the right thing. Not knowing what it was for so long, I felt like I had to learn kind of how to deal with that myself. And that was a very big step for me.
Wow. And I think it's important to talk about that because that links to peace, of course, I think, or especially on your journey. How did
Mhm.
that, or how has that affected your relationship with peace specifically? How have you found peace with the condition?
It's kind of forced me to combat my anxiety. And by doing that, I realized that there was a lot of people that I had to get out of my life. There was a lot of environments that I had to escape that was causing that anxiety. And I'm not saying everything's completely perfect. Obviously, there's steps, it's a whole journey to it. But the fact that I've now taken the action to take those steps.
Yeah, I've never heard of anyone with this condition. For me, it's really interesting to hear about it. It's like a superpower in a way, but of course, it's that would affect you in a lot of ways. And yeah, very interesting to hear that it comes from anxiety because when we talk about peace, anxiety is a big barrier to peace. I think a lot of young
It
people
is.
really face troubles with anxiety. I know a lot of people, even myself, a lot of the time, I feel so much pressure and anxiety. And
Mhm.
actually, that's a nice segue into another point I wanted to ask you about. So, when we talk about the pressures around young people, what pressures do you face just on a daily basis?
A kind of pressure that I face is just being brave. That's
Mm,
something that a lot of people kind of struggle with. I think a lot of the times we get trapped in our own comfortability that we don't take the steps to be brave and step outside that comfort zone. And I think that's one thing that I kind of struggle with. A lot of the times I get trapped in my own comfortability. I struggle to take that step and be brave. I think that's something that I've been really reflecting on and trying to do better.
yeah, being brave, so important. I actually wanted to ask you about social media as well. When we talk about peace, I
Mhm.
think social media is a barrier to peace as well for young people. What's your relationship like with social media?
It really depends on what side of social media you're on. You're exposed to a lot. A lot of people think they're safe because they're behind a screen, but you're very vulnerable because you can see so much. For me, I'd rather surround myself in truth than fake narratives. Because I feel like when you do surround yourself with fake narratives, you've got unrealistic expectations for yourself, very unrealistic expectations for yourself. And a lot of people end up being harsh on their self because they might see a celebrity they really looked up to. They done this really cool thing the other day. Maybe they done something really cool when they were my age. And then I see it and I'm like, oh my God, I should be doing better. I should be doing better. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to do better, but there's also a lot to it as well. We don't grow up with the same background as everyone else. We don't have the same journey as everyone else. We don't have the same struggles as everyone else. We don't have the same peace as everyone else. So everyone's journey is going to be different and everyone's outcome is going to be different. It's hard to fit that in a 1 second post on Snapchat or Instagram.
Wow, I really resonate with that. I think when we talk about peace, it's an acceptance of yourself. You cannot compare yourself to others. And that hopefully would bring you peace, an acceptance of yourself.
Yeah.
I asked you about your pressures as a young person. For young people more broadly, Jada, how do you think we can find small bits of peace? Any method for peace in today's world when there's so much unrest and so much war and instability? A lot of change is always happening. So, yeah, what are your thoughts
Mm.
on that?
Personally, I think there's no way to achieve peace without the willingness to find the truth and the willingness to change. Without both of them, I don't think there's any way to find peace. And I can confidently say the friends that I have in my life, the family that I surround myself with, all of them will tell me when I'm wrong and they will tell me when I'm right. So I think to find peace, you have to be brave enough to find the truth. And you also have to be brave enough to look within and want to action that change that you need.
I would like to talk about work and university. We'll start with university. How did you navigate peace then? And of course, I'm at university now, so I can also chip in here. But what was your
Mhm.
relationship like with peace whilst you were at university?
I honestly think I struggled a bit. Not because the support wasn't there. I think it was more so because I didn't recognize when I needed the support. For me, that meant leaning into unhealthy habits, like not really being able to sleep properly or not having the right diet because I was just so focused on what was in front of me and what I needed to do. But I think having those people there that could tell me, Jada, you need a break, or Jada, come on, calm yourself down a bit. There was a point in time when I was working 2 days a week and going to uni 5 days a week, sometimes six, and I never had a rest. And I think having people there to say, do you know what, Jada Shay, you need a day off. You need to relax. Even having someone just to say, you're doing great, you're doing a good job, you can go to sleep. Things like that are just human necessity. Like for me, I noticed there were certain habits that I would do when I was overworking myself. A lot of the time, I would just shake my leg, shake my leg, or pick up my fingernails when I was overworking myself, or just your body will tell you when you need a break. And you need to listen to your body. You need to listen to your mind. You need to listen to your soul. When it's telling you you need a break, take the break.
Yes, listening to yourself and listening to your body, your soul. That's so important. A lot of young people definitely need to hear that. I know for a fact that I need to work on it more. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
Even just like setting boundaries for yourself. I think I got to a point where I had to say to myself, from 8 o'clock, you're doing no work whatsoever. Build your schedule within the time that you have. And the time that you have to do your work should not take away from the time that you need for yourself and your body. Just making sure you're building boundaries within yourself that you can respect and uphold as well.
Wow, what an amazing point. We've covered a lot around the topic. So is there anything else you want to add?
Being a people pleaser,
Ooh, say more.
I would say when I was younger, I was such a people pleaser. It came from the right place because I love making the people around me happy, but also it did come at an expense of myself. When I was learning how to find my peace, I think a huge part of it is making sure that you prioritize yourself. And yes, some people might characterize you as something far outside of what you are. However, the people that see and understand that you're trying to do best for yourself, they will understand where you're coming from. They will support you. The people that can respect boundaries that you're putting up in place to protect yourself and to do better for yourself, they will respect that because they understand that. And the people that don't, they just don't. They just don't. And not everyone will. And a lot of people take a lot of time to get into that mindset. And this isn't me saying be completely selfish. But it's me saying it's okay to be selfish and it's okay to have boundaries and it's okay to, at some point, put yourself first. That shouldn't be something that people struggle to do. It should be something that people strive to do at times, especially when it's for the better of your future.
Mm, come on. And it's true, you have to put yourself first. That's a beautiful point. Moving on to the Platform Z quickfire questions. Are you ready, Jada?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
What was the most recent thing that inspired you?
My neighbor, a new neighbor moved in around a week ago. The very first interaction I had with her, she told me about her sausage dog that had gone missing the same day that she moved in. And of course, we were all sad, but all of the neighbors, even though it was the first day that they had seen her, they had gone all around where we live basically and just searched for the dog. It felt very much like togetherness and it felt like a community. And I don't know, it was great. In my head, I thought this would be a great sitcom. I thought this would be a great sitcom because how often do you hear about a neighbor knocking on your door because they're missing their sausage dog and the whole of the street goes out to try and find it?
Mm, a great example of community. What is your goal for this month?
To keep being brave, I want to try and do one brave thing a day because I know that I can be brave and then I get stuck in my comfortability again and then I'm brave again. But I just want to do one small brave thing a day for the rest of the month.
I think I need to do that as well. That's amazing. What's one bad habit that you need to get rid of?
I think I need to get rid of overthinking. You can't predict the future. You can't predict the future. And a lot of the times you're doing yourself a lot more bad than good. So a bad habit that I'm currently working on getting rid of and hopefully will get rid of is overthinking.
It's come up a few times actually. Peace is being present rather than thinking about the future. That might be helpful as well.
Hmm.
Trying to be present rather than trying to predict. What does joy look like to you?
I feel like joy looks like people in my life, if that makes sense. Certain friends or certain family members. For me, they just look like the definition of joy to me. It makes me feel like I'm taking a breath of fresh air every time I see them. So for me, joy looks like the people that I surround myself with.
Wholeheartedly agree. When have you felt the most love?
I can't say when I've felt the most love, but I can tell you the multiple moments when I do feel a lot of love, which is any small or big achievement that I have. Me and my family have this thing where we say to each other, if we don't celebrate our small achievements, who will? So if we have small achievements, or the family gets together, and we could be just using it as an excuse to see each other more often, but I'm happy with that anyways. So I think the moments where I feel the most love is when I'm surrounded by those people who see the importance of celebrating the small things. Because if we don't, who will?
So true. I actually learned this phrase from Poetic Unity, shout out Poetic Unity in Brixton, the poetry organization, which was give people their flowers whilst they can still smell them. Some people wait too late to do that, or some people don't do it enough. Yeah, we really need to just celebrate all of those small wins and celebrate every day. What's the one thing you'd change in today's society?
I would change the carelessness. I feel like a lot of the time there's a lot of carelessness when it comes to people that you don't know. A lot of people, if they don't know the person who's sitting next to them or across from them, they could not care if they're having a hard time. They could not care if they're finding their day hard or they're crying and getting upset. For me, I like to think if I was in their position and I was, for example, crying on the tube or something, I would want someone to hand me a tissue. Not saying that you have to say anything or insert yourself in other people's business, but just very small acts show that you care. Even holding the door open for someone. I feel like a lot of the time there's a lot of carelessness. So if there was one thing that I could change, I would change that.
We must care. We must. I agree. Jada, thank you so much. We've done it. We've come to the end. Please take a moment now to tell the listeners where they can find you, what you've got going on, what you've got coming up.
You can find me on Instagram, pretty much any social media. Hopefully, I'm active on them, but I will always be active on Instagram. ITSJADASHAIII. It's Jada Shay. So far this year, what's coming up is I am doing a project with Hannah Lever called Silence on Set, which focuses on the struggles of being a creative and the pressure to succeed in society when you decided on a career that's so uncertain. I've also got more independent projects coming up. One called Jamaican Discomfort, where I explore the struggles of keeping your own culture within a westernized society that focuses on losing that culture to succeed. And also an anthology series coming up as well. But every update will be on my Instagram.
Thank you for sharing. I'm excited. Yeah, we'll have to talk off of this about that because if I can help in any way, I would love to, honestly. Well done. Yeah, I'm giving you your
Definitely.
flowers. Incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.